Did you know that they turned Shrek into a Broadway musical? No, I'm 100% serious, they actually did. And the show itself is pretty good if I'm being honest. That was 2008, but this year they decided to take the Tony Award-winning show back on the road and tour the country. But the show they put together was so bad and so poorly received that they have been scrambling to fix the mess they've made. And did they fix it? So back in 2008, the lovable ogre was brought to the Great White Way along with a star-studded Broadway cast. You had Brian Darcy James as Shrek, Sutton Foster as Fiona, Christopher Sieber as Lord Farquaad, and besides having an A-list cast, one of the greatest aspects of this show was the staging of it. The costume and set designers really made sure the show felt like it just popped off the movie screen or came right out of a fairy tale. I mean, look at these Shrek prosthetics and tell me that's not genuinely impressive. Another great creative choice was they made the guy who played Lord Farquaad perform on his knees to make him the same height as he is in the movie. That is theater magic right there. And if you can't tell already, they did win Best Costume Design at the Tonys that year, and it's genuinely one of the strongest aspects of the show. The show would go on to have multiple US and international tours. It had a run over on the West End in the UK. They even released a pro shot of the original Broadway cast on digital media. So all's to say, the show lived on and had a very successful post-Broadway life. So when you have such a beloved show as Shrek the Musical, it's only a matter of time before producers decide to revive the production and give the general public what they want, right? Careful what you wish for. In late 2023, it was announced that the original writer and composer of the show were teaming up yet again to bring the beloved Broadway smash hit back on the road. Now, a lot of these press releases mentioned that this would be a reimagined or a reworked version of the show, and I totally get that. After revisiting one of your works after nearly 20 years, there are going to be some things you want to change. I don't think we have to be worried that they're going to ruin the entire show, right? Right? Now, one thing to note is that this tour is non-equity. On Broadway, every performer you see on and off the stage is part of the Actors Equity Association, which is the union for performers. Equity gives these performers health insurance benefits, they make sure that all their actors are paid fairly, and they're generally just there to support the performers in any way necessary. Now, Broadway shows are expensive, and producers are always looking for ways to cut costs. And one of the easiest ways to cut costs is to make the tour a non-equity tour. On a non-equity tour, they are specifically hiring actors and performers who are not members of the union. And this doesn't mean the actors are not talented, because they absolutely are. But in these cases, the production can get away with paying people a lot less because there's no union negotiating a minimum salary. And the non-union touring schedules, depending on the show, can be brutal. If you look at the current schedule for this production of Shrek, my God. And I should clarify that non-equity tours don't automatically mean that an audience will see a noticeable drop in quality. So did the audience see a noticeable drop in quality on this new Shrek tour? I mean, I'm making this video. Of course they did. Before we talk about how bad this Shrek tour is, I wanted to take a minute to thank this video's sponsor, Raycon. And guess what? I've been wearing Raycon's new everyday earbuds this whole time. What a plot twist! Oh, you thought the previous Raycon everyday earbuds were so great? Well, now add new features like active noise cancellation, a new ergonomic design, being able to connect up to 2 devices at the same time. Now I can listen to twice as much Shrek the Musical. Help! Just open up your earbuds, pair them with your Bluetooth-enabled device, place them in your ear, and just give them a small twist to lock them in place. Now you're locked, loaded, and ready to listen to Smash Mouth's greatest hits. I'm a believer. This is so dumb. And Raycon has a 30-day happiness guarantee, so if you are not 100% satisfied with your earbuds, you can return them at no cost. So click the link in the description below, or go to buyraycon.com/Sully to get 20% off your Raycon order, plus free shipping. Literally, what more could you want? 21% off? Now you're just being greedy. In conclusion, Raycon, buy them. Roll credits. Somebody. All right, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the Shrek tour. So leading up to the launch of this tour in February, the production didn't really share any photos of the set or costumes, but that's fine. Maybe they want to keep it a secret and surprise us on opening night. Opening night came, and oh boy, did they surprise us. Now I want to stop and preface all of this by saying every actor in this production did a phenomenal job. They are all amazingly talented actors who have been done incredibly dirty by every producer behind this production. That being said, when avid theater goers went to opening night of Tony Award-winning Shrek the Musical, they expected to see this, but instead were met with this. All right, so now Shrek is just a man who is painted slightly green. Donkey is a dude wearing a hoodie and a winter hat. And Fiona is a puppet. Why is Fiona a puppet? All right, I should clarify that Fiona is only a puppet in a few scenes of the show. You see, what happened was instead of wanting to spend money on paying a child actor to play the role of young Fiona, they instead did this. Shrek's parents are also inexplicably represented as decapitated heads on sticks, creating core memories for young audience members, one puppet at a time. And just generally, the entire ensemble's costume design was just lazy. Three Little Pigs, give them some construction jackets. Mama and Papa Bear, furry coats. Baby Bear, oh yeah, they also didn't want to hire a young actor for this role, so it's just represented by a teddy bear this time. How about the giant dragon puppet? Do we at least get that? Best I can do is someone walking around the stage while being followed by an industrial strength fan. I wish I was kidding. The funniest thing that happened when I saw it was when the dragon walked out on stage, this little girl next to me turned to her mom and goes, "That's not a dragon." You're right, little girl, it's most certainly not. But maybe that's just the costumes. At least they didn't go through and rewrite the show and change really important character traits from the films. Oh, by the way, Lord Farquaad isn't short anymore. He's literally just a normal dude. They took the one thing that defined his character and removed it. I guess they didn't love the optics of making fun of a trait that someone can't control, and you know what, genuinely, I respect that. But they still wanted all the fairy tale creatures in the show to be able to make fun of Lord Farquaad, so instead of making fun of him for being short, they made fun of him for wearing lifts. Wait, what the You're still making fun of him for being short. Why did you rewrite the entire book? I'm losing my mind. Also, they make fun of him for being bald and wearing a wig to hide it. Funny how they wanted to avoid making fun of a character for having an ailment he can't control. So instead, they make fun of a character for having two ailments he can't control. Also, complete side note, at one point in the show, Lord Farquaad unironically says cringe in response to Shrek professing his love for Fiona, which I thought was hilarious. And because of these rewrites in regard to Lord Farquaad's character, they ended up cutting his big Act 2 number entirely, which is a shame. What else did they remove? Donkey has a song in Act 1 called Don't Let Me Go. Or Donkey had a song in Act 1. They cut that. They cut Shrek's big Act 2 number called Build a Wall, which honestly is probably the right choice. And then you just have the overall weird staging choices. Like, this is a beautiful ballad that Shrek is singing. You know what it's missing? A bunch of people standing as still as possible in the background while holding stars on sticks. Okay, thank God we're into Act 2, and oh my God, they're back, but this time with sunflowers. Why? How does this help the story? And the once extravagant set design is now very bare bones and, can I say, amateurish? Everything about the staging and costuming of this show screams community theater. And that's not inherently a bad thing if they weren't charging over $100 per seat. Yeah, I forgot to mention, a premium orchestra seat to this show will cost you up to $119. That was the big problem. They were charging Broadway prices for a very obviously low-budget production. And audience members were not happy. It did not take long before angry consumers took to the internet to express their displeasure with this production. It very quickly left the smaller Broadway communities. It even reached the front page of Mildly Infuriating. There were even reports of patrons getting refunds after the show, arguing with the box office, "This is not the Tony Award-winning production you promised." And the box office said, "You're completely right." Basically, everyone online was tearing apart this production and the unwitting actors. And it's unfortunate because, again, these actors are doing an amazing job, but their fantastic performance is dragged down by these obvious cost-cutting measures that they have no control over. But the internet just sees the photos of the actors, and so that's the easy target. I have no doubt the word got back to producers very quickly, whether it be through online reviews or even theaters contacting them expressing concerns about upcoming or past productions. And so the producers had the choice to either stand by what they created or try to rescue this sinking ship. Which one did they choose? In March of this year, some ticket holders for upcoming performances of Shrek the Musical got an email saying that their performance had been postponed. Turns out the production decided to cancel multiple tour stops due to scheduling and routing logistics. Because of course they can't just come out and say, "We cheaped out on production costs and hope y'all wouldn't notice, but now that you did notice, we need to make some changes." And a lot of people rightly assumed that this production break was going to be used to revamp the show and fix some of the glaring issues, and did they? So what did they change? The first big change is that Shrek is properly bald now. They gave him a bald cap, which is a huge improvement over Shrek with a full head of hair. In the new production photos used to promote the tour, all the photos of Shrek are taken from very far back, which makes sense once you see it in person because you quickly realize that you can often see the unpainted skin around the bald cap, as well as his oddly unpainted human ears on the side. I'm sure from the balcony seats it might hold up, but from the orchestra section it's a bit distracting. Donkey's also no longer just wearing a hoodie. They gave him a full fursuit, which is definitely an improvement. It's not the best Donkey costume, but I will 100% take it over whatever they were going for here. A few of the ensemble members also got their costumes upgraded. Like the Three Little Pigs now look like pigs. Same with Mama and Papa Bear, although Baby Bear is still just a teddy bear because they're not going to pay child actors. And Shrek's parents are now actual people and not disembodied heads, which is a good choice. And ticket prices seem a little bit more reasonable now. You can get orchestra seats for like $60 to $80, which I'd still argue is a little too much. But as far as changes go, that's about it. I would say these changes are the production equivalent of a Band-Aid. It's gonna stop the bleeding temporarily, but it's not a valid long-term solution. Even with these positive changes, the production is still plagued by the barren set design and the lackluster costuming. The producers are obviously hoping that this will be enough to shut everyone up, and maybe it will be, but they're still doing a disservice to the original source material. This was once a big, flashy show that's lasting legacy in the theater community is its costuming design. So to relaunch a show and skimp on every aspect, including the one thing that your show is remembered for, just reeks of greedy producers trying to squeeze every last dollar out of an IP. And it's really unfortunate. Shrek the Musical is a really solid show. It's got a nice storyline, some great music, and a lot of fantastic performances. But this new incarnation of the show lacks all the magic and whimsy that the original production had, making all these performances fall flat. Now, the producers behind the show keep arguing that this tour more closely resembles their original intentions with the 2008 Broadway run. But I can say without a doubt that if this was the Shrek the Musical that opened on Broadway in 2008, they would not be able to market this tour as Tony Award winning. Thank you so much for watching this video, and again, big thanks to Raycon for sponsoring this video. I also want to say thank you so much for 100,000 subscribers. It means the world to me, and I will never be able to properly express my gratitude towards you. That's all I have for you today. Be kind to one another, stay safe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.